Hello and welcome to the first video in a short series of videos about the Pegasus Opera 3 SQL SE upgrades. My name's Nick Rose, I'm an ERP consultant with Complete IT in Bristol, and over the course of the next 3 or 4 videos I'm going to take you through some of the new features and the functions that are available in the new Opera 3 release. One of the first things we want to talk about is the Server Administration and Monitoring tool, what we'll refer to in the future as the SAM tool. I want to show you some of the new features, talk about some of the benefits and what it will bring to you. The idea of the SAM tool is it's used by your administrators and your IT professionals to manage and configure your Opera 3 SQL SE installation. It's installed securely on the server and is controlled via an admin username and password, and it's where we'd go to manage a lot of your system related functions. So let's have a look at the SAM tool. As we said before, it's obviously installed on the server. There's only one install and there is a secure login to it, so it's important to remember those credentials. It tells us a lot of information about your setup and your installation. So we have some information here about where it's installed, what its version is, what .NET version you've got on the server, and where all your databases are stored. So useful information. So from a support perspective, it's probably the first place we would go to find information about your setup. You can set up your default folders, so where your company data is and what your common directory is. You can highlight what server and network related printers everyone could see. This one's quite useful, a bit like the monitor users in Opera 3 VFP. You'd be able to see what users are logged into the program. We have a log file that gives us any information about if there's any problems with the system. So I've got no errors in my system, which is nice. Service status. So the Opera 3 SQL SE program runs off a service. That's what allows the client to process data into your database. And this gives us an idea as to what the status of the services are. And then the last two in the information is if there's any scheduled tasks and what the logs are for the tasks that have been run. We can manage your license activation, so should you request any new users, modules, instead of having to kick everyone out, you would manage it from here. And also you can see what the status of your current modules are, which is quite useful to know. Mail server settings, so your server-based emailing or your SMTP settings would be in here. And also what your default email address will be to send from and who you are and things like that. Now this section is really new to SQL SE, something that we don't have in the Visual FoxProbe version. It's a health checker. So it allows you to check the integrity of your data as often as you like, and we, from a support perspective, will probably use that quite a bit. Gives us a bit of information about what databases you've got and where they are, so we can see all the main company databases in the bottom half here, and in the top half here we've got the main core and system database. And we've got this health check. Now we can open an existing health check. We can point it at your Opera 3 FoxPro data, so pre-migration, and we can tell it to ignore any issues that might have been fixed by migration, or we can point it at the actual SQL database. So if I point this at mine, Pegasus and connect. Choose a database, so I want to look at Company Z. We'll also choose all the modules and we'll run that. That will go through, and unsurprisingly demo data, with it being quite old, has got some problems. If we have a look at view all the details, we can see that the sales allocations table has got some errors because it's got some transactions in there that are no longer referenced to something in the sales transaction table. So we can go through and see that. So when people log issues with certain problems, we can have a look in here and see if actually the health checker does give us any information as to what that's going to be. So it's good for us from a support perspective, but it's also good for the end user to be able to see the integrity of their own data. And you can see it logs all the tables. So most of them are all absolutely fine, just got a handful of errors at the top, and it will tell us what they actually are. So that's quite handy. Carrying on down, we can see that we have a system maintenance option. So what we currently have in the program in Opera 3 Visual Fox Pro, we can amend what the name of our system is. So if you've got more than one, you can change the names of them, and you can do a tidy system, which you can now schedule to happen out of hours. The company, you can migrate from Opera 3. So if you've got an old company in Opera 3, or you acquire a company in Opera 3, you can migrate it in at a later time. This is where we would come in and create a new company. So you get all your existing letters that are available. You can see Z is not available for me because that's taken up by demo data. You can tell it where you want your data folder to be. Do you want it to have a different common folder? Maintaining what the name of the company is, so what we would currently do in company profiles. And also we can do a tidy company. So we can tidy the notes, tidy the reports, and clear any locks if there is any. The external section is all about bespoke and any additional users that go in via imports and things like that. And the reporting section, these roles are part of the additional security that's now part of XRL. We have all these roles that you would assign to XRL users, which would then define what tables they get to see. So this is all managed through the SAM tool now, as opposed to in the XRL program itself. And then again, the extra users that use the roles. And finally, in general settings, how long do you want to keep inactive messages, and if you have a domain, and all your information is stored in there. So this is something that your Opera administrator would use. It would sit on the server. It's what we call the SAM tool, so the server administration and monitoring tool, and would be hugely beneficial for support requests and taking a lot of exclusive access roles out of the program. So your update data structures has been replaced by the SAM tool. It doesn't exist anymore. The maintain companies and the system tidies are now all in the SAM tool. And also it's a good place to come to check all your data. Thank you for listening and watching. That was the video about the SAM tool and an opening to the Pegasus SQL SC release. In the next video, we're going to talk about security and document storage. See you there.